Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. My name is Ellie and today I am so excited to be bringing you my Wintery November TBR. I'm literally surrounded by so many books that I'm really excited to get to, and they're all a little bit wintry, and I'm also continuing the sort of spooky vibe as well because I'm not quite ready to let go of Halloween yet, and I also feel like scarier stories are just better in the winter anyway. I always want to pick up sort of ghosty, spooky stories when the weather starts to get a bit cooler and I want to just snuggle up under a blanket and just devour all this spooky stuff. So yeah, I am super excited for all of the books that I'm hoping to pick up this month. There are quite a few books that I'm going to talk about today. Whether or not I will actually end up reading them all in the month of November is debatable. I am a very slow reader, so I'm not sure whether I will actually manage to read all of these, but it's certainly like the pool of books that I'm going to be picking from this month and I cannot wait. So I am just going to jump straight in and show you the first book. So I'm going to kick things off with a thriller. As I said, I am kind of excited to carry on reading things that are a little bit spooky, and I just think this one is going to be absolutely perfect for winter. This is A No Exit, written by Taylor Adams. Now this is a thriller book that I often see on people's sort of winter recommendations because it's actually set in a snowstorm. So in this story, I believe our main character Darby, she's a college student and she's stranded by a blizzard at a highway rest stop in the middle of nowhere. So I think she's driving to go and see her mum, who's not very well, and she obviously gets caught in this snowstorm, ends up pulling over at this rest stop and finds out that she has to spend the night there because she's kind of trapped. And I think she discovers a young girl who has been locked in one of the parked vehicles in the rest stop, and the story kind of goes from there. It sounds really intense, sounds perfect for the winter with it being in the snowy setting, and I cannot wait. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, really excited to jump into this one, and I have been meaning to pick up more thrillers, so this is perfect. So yeah, really excited for that. The next book that I have to show you is also a little bit spooky. It's actually a historical fiction, and this is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. Now firstly, I just have to show you this beautiful edition because I think it's absolutely stunning. It's got the coolest sprayed edges I think I have ever seen. I actually spotted this beautiful book in where was it, when I went into London, in Forbidden Planet. They had this book and it was on sale, and it's such a gorgeous edition. It's signed as well, which is just an added bonus. So this is the author of, is it The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle? That was his debut novel that I know was a big hit. A lot of people love that book. I haven't actually read that one yet. I was actually more drawn to this story, but yeah, I have high expectations given how popular and well received the first book was. So this is actually a bit of a murder mystery story. It's set in the 1600s and it's all based on this East India Company ship which is returning to Amsterdam, and on board the ship I believe there's a detective type character who's a little bit sort of Sherlock Holmesy, but he is actually in chains. So he has been imprisoned for some kind of crime. I don't think we know what the crime is, and yeah, strange things start happening on this boat as soon as it sets sail for Amsterdam. I think there's sort of symbols that appear on the sails, and there is some kind of impossible murder that happens, and basically I think our characters are having to figure out what's going on and whether or not there's something supernatural happening, because I think all the evidence points towards that it might be something to do with the devil and kind of devil worshipy stuff going on, or whether it is something else that's going on. It sounds really good. I think it's going to be quite scary and I'm kind of here for that. I love the fact that it's set on a boat. I think that's going to be really fun and also terrifying because I'm actually really scared of the open water, and yeah, this is going to be a little bit different to what I normally pick up and I cannot wait. I think it is going to be a whole lot of fun. Okay, the next book that I'm going to show you I am very excited about, and I know a lot of people are really excited about this one. It's a new release, recently got it in the post, and that is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Of course, this is the author that wrote The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I absolutely adored. It's such a beautiful book, but I think this one is going to be a little bit perhaps darker. And yeah, I'm just going to read you the synopsis because I feel like that's the best way to give you an idea of what this book is about. So it says here, when a reaper comes to collect Wallace from his own sparsely attended funeral, Wallace is outraged, but he begins to suspect she's right, and he is in fact dead. Then, when Hugo, owner of a most peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace reluctantly accepts the truth. Yet even in death, he refuses to abandon his life, even though he spent all of it working. But as Wallace drinks tea with Hugo and talks to his customers, he wonders if he'd been missing something. The feeling grows and he shares jokes with the resident ghost, manifests embarrassing footwear, and notices the stars. So when he's given 1 week to pass through the door to the other side, Wallace sets about living a lifetime in just 7 days. Doesn't that just sound amazing? Oh, I think this is going to be so good. I think it's going to be emotional, it's going to be beautiful, and I cannot wait. Also, how gorgeous is this cover? This one's got sprayed edges because it's the Waterstones signed exclusive edition. The end pages are stunning. And we have the signature there. Amazing. Can't wait to get to this one. Okay, the next book that I have to show you is another spooky one. So this is actually a book that I was planning on picking up in October because I thought it would be perfect for sort of Halloween season, but when I started to read it, I flicked to the front page and it is actually set at Christmas, so I think this is going to be a perfect transition-y book. So this is Women in Black, written by Susan Hill. Of course, this is a classic ghost story. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with it. It's been adapted multiple times. I think the most well-known adaptation is the 2012 film starring Daniel Radcliffe, which is a movie that I do actually like. I have seen it quite a few times, but I've never read the book, so I'm really interested to read this one and see how it differs from the movie. So I believe this book was written in the 80s, but apparently it has quite a oldie-woldy writing style. Apparently it's quite gothic, and yeah, I think this is set in the Edwardian period as well, so it's got that kind of historical element to it. And we basically follow our main character, who's called Arthur Kipps, who is a solicitor who is summoned to attend the funeral of Miss Alice Drablow, and basically he ends up going to this town where this woman passed away to sort out all her paperwork and everything. And when he gets to the town, it is very strange. It becomes very clear that all the people in the village are kind of hiding some kind of secret, and he ends up exploring this house, and it may or may not be haunted. That is all I'm gonna say. I think this is going to be really creepy and super atmospheric, and I cannot wait. It's also not very long as well, so hopefully I can get through this one quite quickly and it will give me all of those spooky feels that I'm looking for. I cannot wait. Okay, so the next book I'm going to show you is actually a wintry middle grade. I thought it'd be nice to pop a middle grade on here just to break things up a little bit, especially considering I've got quite a few more sort of spooky books on my TBR. So yeah, I'm hoping to read Frost Heart, Escape from Aurora, written by Jamie Littler. So this is the second book in the Frost Heart trilogy. I did actually read the first book last year and really enjoyed it. So if you haven't heard of this series before, we basically follow our main character Ash, who is a young boy who lives in a stronghold which is kind of cut off from the rest of the world and kind of cut off from the other strongholds by this snow sea, and within the snow sea live these monsters called Leviathans, so it's quite dangerous to kind of cross the sea. And basically our character Ash ends up being swept away on this adventure to kind of try and find his parents who have gone missing, and he ends up going aboard this pirate ship and sailing across the snow sea, and we've got magic and we've got monsters, and he finds out more about himself and he makes friends along the way, and it's just really charming. And this book is also illustrated by Jamie Littler himself, and I've got to say the illustrations are absolutely stunning and they really add to the kind of fun of the story really. I'm just trying to find you some illustrations here. I don't know if you can see that, but he's got this amazing sort of style of artwork and it just makes it such a fun reading experience. So yeah, I cannot wait to get to the second one. The third and final book recently came out this year, so I'm hoping to get to that hopefully in December. So I really want to get this one read in November so that I can finish off the series by the end of the year. And yeah, this is just going to be such a fun wintry book. Okay, so the next book that I have to show you is actually a adult standalone fantasy, which has been on my TBR for the longest time. I am so excited to hopefully finally get to it this month, and that is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. So Naomi Novik is a bit of a hit or miss author for me. I really enjoyed Uprooted by the author, but I didn't get on with A Deadly Education, which is written by the same author. So I'm hoping that this one I will enjoy. I think this is going to lean a little bit more towards the style of Uprooted, which is quite whimsical and also quite dark, and is a fairy tale retelling, whereas A Deadly Education is a little bit more conversational in tone and reads a bit younger to me. But yes, I'm excited to see what I think about this one. This is actually a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which is very cool. I've never read a retelling of that sort of fairy tale, so I'm interested to see how that works. And yeah, so our main character in here has a magical power. She can obviously turn silver into gold, like in the Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale. And yeah, this magical ability of hers kind of catches the attention of the fairy lord in the realm, as far as I'm aware, and the story kind of goes from there. I think it's multi-perspective, so we follow several different protagonists in here, which will be quite interesting. And it's also mostly set in winter, and so I think it's going to be absolutely perfect to pick up at this time of year. I know a lot of people really love this book, and I know people really enjoy this book even if they didn't enjoy Uprooted. So yeah, I'll be interested to see why this book is different from Uprooted. But yeah, I'm so excited. I hope this is going to be a lovely cozy read that's also hopefully going to be a little bit dark, because that's what I enjoyed about Uprooted, was that it had that kind of dark twist to it that was very true to kind of classic fairy tales, which are often actually quite scary. The next book that I have to show you is a YA, it's a young adult fantasy book, and I'm very excited for this one as well. I'm excited for all of these books, so I'm just going to keep saying that I'm excited throughout this whole video. But yes, this is actually a book that I pre-ordered, and I completely forgot that I pre-ordered it until it arrived, which is a lovely surprise. This is a Vespertine, written by Margaret Rogerson, who's obviously the author of An Enchantment of Ravens and Sorcery of Thorns. So I am very excited for this one. I've got high hopes. The cover is absolutely gorgeous. The whole blue and white metallic-y vibes going on here is giving me all the wintry feels. And yeah, I don't want to know a huge ton about this one. I tend to prefer to just jump straight into YA fantasy, because I find that if I read too much of the synopsis, it can kind of give it away a little bit, and sometimes that puts me off reading the book. So I would prefer to just dive right in. But yes, I know this follows our main protagonist, who I think is a nun who can control the dead. I mean, that just sounds great. I am so excited. I don't need to know anymore. That's all I want to know, and I am super duper excited. Okay, so if I am in the mood to pick up a epic adult fantasy this month, the book that I'm going to be reaching for is Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is the first book in a new epic adult fantasy series that's based on Norse mythology, which is so cool. And yeah, I actually started reading this one back in summer. I think it was September or something. But when I started reading it, it was actually giving lots of descriptions of like the snowy scenery and stuff. And yeah, I wasn't vibing with it at the time because it was like really hot and I was sweating, and I just wasn't into reading about snow. But now that it's November and the weather is turning a little bit cooler, I am very excited to get stuck into this one, because I think this is going to be fantastic. Again, I don't want to know too much going into this one, but I'm just very intrigued by the fact that it is Norse inspired, because I love Norse mythology. I find that really fascinating. I know this contains a lot of gods, and is also set in a world where there's lots of sort of fantastical creatures, as far as I'm aware. I mean, there's a dragon on the front cover, which intrigues me greatly. And yeah, I'm very excited. Obviously John Gwynne is a well-known, well-loved fantasy author, so I think that it's going to be beautifully written as well. Okay, and that's just about everything really for my wintry TBR. Oh, there is actually one other book that I'm thinking of reading in November, which, well, I have actually already started it, so I'm going to continue reading it in November, which I might as well show you. It's not so much wintry, but it is still very exciting, so I'm just going to go grab that to show you. 1 minute. Okay, so the book that I have actually started to read is June, written by Frank Herbert. So this is a classic adult sci-fi book. It's very well known and has received quite a lot of buzz because obviously we've had the movie come out recently. This is actually my partner's favourite book, or one of his favourite books anyway. So when I saw that Waterstones was doing this beautiful special edition, I just had to pick it up for him really, so that we've got it in our collection. I just think it's so cool. It's such a beautiful book. We've got the gorgeous foiling on there, the most amazing stenciled edges that you've ever seen, and the end pages are also very cool. They're like a retro-y kind of style of artwork on there. And I don't know, I just think there's something about this sort of terracotta colour mixed with the purple. It just really works for me. I think it is so very cool. I absolutely love it, and the spine on this book is also cool. It's got like a quote from the book on there, so the naked hardcover is still very beautiful as well. But yeah, aside from how beautiful this book is, I am very excited to get to this one. A, because I want to read the actual story before I go and see the movie, because otherwise I'll just picture the actors and everything when I do eventually read the book. So I'd rather have the opportunity to imagine it and experience it for myself before I go and see an adaptation. And also just because I know a lot of people love this one, and it's a very famous sci-fi, and I just really want to see what I think for myself. So yeah, this one isn't very wintry, but I will be reading it this month. This is basically set on a desert planet called Arrakis, and I'm only 60 pages in, so I don't know a huge ton about what this story is about yet. It's basically just been kind of setting up the story really, but so far we have been following our main character Paul, who is the heir to a noble household, and basically within this sci-fi universe, the most valuable thing is this drug called spice, which is this drug which can prolong life, and it can also kind of expand your consciousness. So it's very valuable, and the only place where you can find this drug is the desert planet Arrakis, otherwise known as June. So yeah, so our main character Paul ends up moving to June, and the story kind of kicks off from there really. I hear that it's quite political. I think it gets quite actiony. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm hoping to read this in the next week or so that I can go and see the movie, which is very exciting. So anyway, that brings me to the end of this video. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Please let me know what you're picking up in November. I'm always on the hunt for recommendations. If you'd like to support my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give this video a little like if you enjoyed it, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more from me. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time with another video. Bye!